We asked Aditi, we kind of set it up with her, but I'm curious from you guys' perspective. Joe Burrow is going to play. Mm-hmm. And I'll just start with this, and I'll let you guys take it from here. If healthy Joe Burrow is X out of 10, what do you expect potentially hobbled Joe Burrow
He's not
to
hobbled.
be on Sunday?
That doesn't make any sense. They wouldn't be playing him if he was hobbled. So saying hobbled doesn't make any sense. I think Aditi made the point that he might be rusty because he hasn't he started practicing last week, but he hasn't practiced until a couple days ago. He hadn't practiced with the team for 5 weeks. Joe Burrow is the Bengals franchise. Without him, like most teams with a great quarterback, they're nothing. All right? The Chiefs are the best team in football. Without Patrick Mahomes, they're nothing. The Bengals without Joe Burrow are nothing. So they would not be playing him if he were not as close to 100% as they thought he could be. So there's no way he's playing hobbled.
As tricky as calf injuries are, and they can, like that, they can
100%
snap again.
he could redo it.
Are you going to kill him on Monday if he re-aggravates this?
I will not.
Okay.
Because they unless I found out beforehand, which I haven't yet, and James Rapine has been consistently saying, like I text him every few days, is Burrow playing? Is Burrow playing? Is Burrow playing? And he's been telling me consistently, yes. He's been saying for weeks, he's playing, it's fine, he's playing. So I'm assuming he's 99%, 98%, whatever. Like, yes, it's an injury like a hamstring, like a quad, that you could feel 100% and then you could hurt it again. It's possible. And if that happens, their season's shot. It's just as simple
He's
as
out.
that.
If he re-aggravates it, he's out 4 to 6 weeks probably.
At least.
At that point, yeah.
Well, he already missed 4 to 6 weeks.
I would say
so they're not
6
going
to
to bring
8.
him back in another 4 to 6 weeks. He's out 2 months minimum.
6 to 8.
Minimum. And their season's over.
That's why I am a little bit surprised he's playing.
Which is why they must be convinced he's about 100% because why would they take a chance?
Yeah.
Because they've gotten off the slow starts. They were 2-3 last year. They still made the playoffs.
Right.
If they thought that another 2 weeks and he's fine, they'd sit him another 2 weeks.
Right.
Even though like the Browns, the Bengals are playing 2 division games. They play the Browns and then they play the Ravens. So I get it, but the Bengals are a team with Burrow that if he sat out the first 2 games, even if they lost him, they could still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But if he gets hurt in week 1 and misses 2 months, it's over.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
So I have to believe that they believe that another couple of weeks is not going to make a difference.
I'm not going to say that they're going to be out to try to hurt Joe Burrow or anything like that, but Jim Schwartz is definitely he talks about it. He was doing a seminar earlier this year, and he was doing a seminar with coaches, and he said, sometimes when you have a quarterback who is very mobile, there's sometimes that you want to invite him to run, right? You're not going to blitz him as much because you want to invite him to run if there's nobody really open. I think that with the line that they have and with some of the guys they can run at him, I think Jim Schwartz understands that Joe Burrow is going to come and he wants to play because it is the Browns and he has not played well against the Browns in the last couple of years. And I think that he can rush the passer. I think that they want him to move him off a spot, not necessarily rush him in order to get him to stay in the pocket. They want to rush him to make him move around. I want to see if he can step up in the pocket and throw from the levels because Joe Burrow does that better than I think Josh Allen. He does that as well as anybody else in the league, is getting to different levels, sliding, moving, protecting, moving, evading people, and then throwing the ball on different platforms to get people open. I want to see if he can do that on one leg. I want to challenge that a little bit earlier. I want to see if he can run a scramble a little bit earlier to see if they can do that. But it's going to be a fascinating matchup because if I'm the Browns, I say, okay, we have an offense that may be able to score a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So they may take more chances on defense. If they score, they may take some more chances. So it'll be interesting to see how the Browns play, because there's a lot of different nuances where you can't say, oh, I knew this was coming. A lot of people just don't know.
Yeah. I think, Jason, on Friday, you'll be back with us on Friday, and we'll make predictions on the game and whatever. I've honestly been going back and forth for about a week on who I think is going to win this game. Mm-hmm. I've changed my mind like about 4 or 5 times already. And part of it is certainly Burrow. Part of it is certainly Denzel Ward plays a role. For whatever reason, though, the one thing I've kind of stuck with over the last week as I've been thinking in more detail about this game, I have a feeling this game is going to be a lot lower scoring than many people think. I think it's going to be a a defensive first game for both teams. That's the way I'm leaning.
Based on it's week 1?
Well, that's part of it. I mean, and the Bengals offense is probably going to be a little rusty. Even though most of those guys have played together for a while now. Burrow, the last 2 years, hasn't played the preseason, and he's played his worst football early in the season. And so I could see that. But also, Deshaun Watson, this is his first game. Yep. There's a lot of pressure on him. He may kick out that final rust. He may have some nerve-wracking moments. He's got a lot of new faces on that offense, right? The Bengals' defense is really good. I know they're replacing 2 safeties, and that's a big deal because those were 2 good safeties. But the rest of the defense is back, and it's really good, and it's really well coached. And so I expect both defenses in week 1 to have an edge.
Yeah.
I could obviously be wrong.
No, week 1
but that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a close, low, not like 13-10.
Yeah.
But I'm expecting like a 20-17.
What's the over?
Game.
What's the over on this? Do we know?
The over under?
It was. Here, let me get the most updated.
I know the spreads. The Bengals are a 2.5-point favorite last time I
that's
checked.
held pretty firm, I think, throughout.
It went down to 1.5 a couple of weeks ago, and then went back up to 2.5, and it's just stayed there.
So we're using FanDuel because that's what I use for the next topic as well. As it stands right now, this exact moment, 12:33 on September 5th, 2.5-point line. Bengals are favored. Over under of 47.5, which is slightly lower than the league average. Of 49.5.
Yeah, I kind of like the under in this game.
I wonder
That's the way I'm leaning.
I wonder if week 1s typically are lower, just because of kind of what we're talking about.
Yes.
I think offenses are a little janky in week 1, and because these guys don't play a lot in the preseason, defenses are a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
You could be onto something.
I think that there's something to it.
I don't think it's going to be.
Now watch, it'll be 45-42.
I was just going to say, I don't think it's going to be a 40-38 shootout. Yeah. I don't think.
And the Bengals and Browns, even when they haven't been good necessarily,
they've had some
good
really
shootouts
high-scoring
over the years.
games. Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think? You think I'm crazy with thinking it's going to be a lower-scoring game?
I think games like week 1 is unpredictable. You don't know what's
totally.
It's
the hardest. And to your point, I'm sorry, G, and then jump right back in. It's the week more than any other that you shouldn't judge a team by.
Yes.
You could throw it out.
And yet people do it. Yeah. But you're 100% right. It is the most unpredictable week in the NFL.
Usually, to me, week 3 is where you start to see, like, okay, this is who this team is going to be. Games like this, somebody can get a pick 6. Somebody can run a punt back. Offsides, penalties, things like drop passes. Things like that really affect these types of games. And you really don't start to see what the team really is until they really settled in week 3, week 4. That's why it's so crazy to play teams like the Bengals, right? It could be a double-edged sword because the Bengals can get hot. Say for instance, either or the Browns. One of the teams can play horrible the first game, and then you look at this game later on in the season and be like, wow, they caught them at a nice little time.
Because
they're balling right now, and if it wasn't for A, B, or C, so I think this game is a crapshoot. It's a roll of the dice. The Browns are at home. And I think, too, if you're watching the Browns, you don't even know what they're going to run. What are they running? They haven't really seen Myles Garrett. They haven't seen Nick Chubb. They haven't seen any of the new stuff that they're kind of putting in. So you just don't know.
Yeah.
I do want to ask
69 degrees is supposed to be a game time.
Perfect.
Very nice.
Perfect. And rain in the morning. So, but
I do want to ask you guys one more thing on Burrow, and Aditi mentioned it, but the Bengals signed Orlando Brown to hopefully shore up their offensive line. The Browns obviously brought in the reinforcements. There's 7 or 8 new guys on the defensive line. Last year, I know we at least spoke about how, on paper, we gave the Browns a big advantage defensive line versus Bengals offensive line. Do you still feel like the gap is as big as it was last year between those two particular units?
It's interesting because we were wrong last year because the Browns defensive line was actually worse than the Bengals offensive line.
Yep.
Correct.
Now, the Bengals this is the best offensive line the Bengals have had since Joe Burrow's been there. But the Browns defensive line is
Both
better.
sides have improved dramatically.
Both sides have improved dramatically. Orlando Brown is a huge difference. The Bengals have not had a good left tackle since Andrew Whitworth left. He's not elite Orlando Brown, but he's in that next category. He's a good, solid left tackle.
He's Jed Wills.
No, come on. Now.
Look, you stuck that in there.
Are you crazy?
That was slick, Jason.
That
I know
was
what you
slick.
did.
That was high-level trolling right there.
We were both triggered, so no. Our voice got all deep. No.
I think the biggest question with the Bengals offensive line is, so obviously they're really good at left tackle now. They're really good at center. They're really good at right guard. Their left guard was a rookie last year. He had his ups and downs, but as the year went on, he got better. I think they're pretty good shape in those 4 spots. The right tackle is the question because they've taken their left tackle, Jonah Williams, who was more like Jedrick Wills.
I would say that.
And maybe even a little worse than Jedrick Wills. And they've moved him to right. Now, supposedly he's taken to it well. Maybe he'll be better there. But I think it's a big question mark because I don't think he's very good. It might eventually be Lyle Collins, who they had last year at right tackle, but he's coming off an injury, and he's not ready to go week 1. So I don't know. But it's definitely the best offensive line they had. That being said, if I had to say give the advantage, Browns D-line, Bengals O-line, I would still give it to the Browns.
I'd agree. And I think Zadarius Smith is probably going to be, one of the better defensive linemen. He's not, I wouldn't say he's in the top, 5 pass rushers that you got.
But he's top.
But he's
15.
top 15 though.
Yeah.
Hey,
he's top 15 though.
This is the second time we've seen this graphic. I can't read below the names. What is that?
Oh, those are their PFF grades from last year. That's Garrett
okay.
was first at a 119th, Tomlinson and Harris 14th and 17th at a 127 at the defensive tackle position, respectively. As Zadarius Smith, 13
I couldn't figure out what you're doing with that.
There you go.
That's a nice.
We made that the day they signed Shelby Harris, and there was a little more explanation into it, but I just still think it's a nice visual graphic. I guess I should add a key to it. But
if all 4 played to that level of their grades from last year, the Browns should be really good.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know other team has that.
Philly?
Yeah, they're the only team with 2 defensive ends
Philly
and 2
lost a
defensive
couple of
tackles
D
who ranked in the
linemen,
top 20.
after last year.
You said this earlier. Do the Bengals just really if say for instance the Browns stopped the run, right?
Yeah.
I get the picture. The Bengals really don't care about that. I think they want to throw the ball anyway. Is that something that you think they would run the ball a little more? Maybe if Joe Burrow is a little nicked up, or do you think that just if the Browns stop the run, they're fine with throwing the ball?
I mean, I think they're fine, but I do think they want to be balanced. I especially in this game because they've experienced what Myles Garrett can do to them. I mean, we gave the numbers before. Myles Garrett has probably played his best football against the Bengals.
He's averaging nearly 2 sacks a game against
absurd.
them. Yeah,
it's absurd. If you play based on that, if you played the Bengals every week, he'd have 34 sacks.
5 games, 9 sacks.
Okay, so he'd have 30 sacks.
Yeah.
So now again, I also think the Bengals have not done a good job, and they don't do a lot of keeping a tight end in to block because they're putting receivers out there, and they feel like, well, we can get rid of the ball, and Burrow's going to make the decision and get rid of it quick. I think for whatever reason, he's held on to the ball a little longer against the Browns. Yeah. And I think part of that's, Denzel Ward's done such a great job. So the Browns have had that great combination of Myles Garrett wreaking havoc and good coverage in the secondary, and it has affected Burrow more than any other team. And I don't even think it's close.
Yeah.
And Jamar, I can't think of a game where Jamar Chase has killed us. We haven't.
Look at it. I don't know.
We haven't had. I just feel like there just hasn't. I don't know. This could be the exact opposite, but I haven't seen
No, you're right, G. You ready?
Yeah.
Well, he did last year. He had a very good game. But his first 2 games against Cleveland, he had 13 targets and 6 receptions for 49 yards in the first, no touchdowns. In the second, he was only targeted 4 times, had 2 catches, 26 yards.
Did he play that whole game? I think that was a game that
I'm not sure, but last year in December.
I think that second game, he was just trying to set a rookie record.
Trying to set the record, yeah.
And then they took him out because I don't think Burrow played.
Yeah,
Fair.
you're right.
In that in the third and most recent game, this was December 11th of last year, he had 10 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown.
And the Bengals won. Not a surprise, right?
That was the game where who was it that didn't play in it? In Jeff Howard, the defensive backs coach?
That wasn't that game.
Yeah, I thought it was.
He missed the first game.
Yeah, I think
he missed the first matchup, right?
Mike just gave
he did not. Yeah, he did not play when the Browns beat them on Halloween. Jamar Chase did not play.
That was the game.
No. This is the December game. Is what? That's the game. It was late in the year. I remember it was late in the year where someone else didn't play.
T. Higgins didn't play.
You're right.
And Jet Howard goes we didn't expect them to play. We messed their whole game plan up when we found out.
I said, why don't you just put 3 dudes on them? And they were like, kind of
That's right, because I think Tyler Boyd missed that game too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Trent Taylor was their guy.
I think Boyd missed the game, and then Higgins got hurt right in the beginning.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
And then he made that comment.
And Chase was the only one out there and still went nuts.
And I think he made the comment, and we were like, he made it seem like it was worse for them that Higgins got hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
that
was insane.
That was it.
Obviously. Go ahead, Mike.